Welcome to day 2 of Bits and Bytes Level Up Your Online Learning. Yesterday we introduced you to the Genially, which is what we're using to present this information. Some quick reminders: if you click the little hand in the upper corner, it will show you everything that is clickable in the Genially. We also set this up to be in 3 easy to understand parts, where the red at the top is where you can start in preparation of setting up online learning, and then in the middle we're going to talk about today and what to do to get things off the ground and how students should behave during the meeting. Mastering online etiquette. Some things to think about when you're online. What are some basic behaviors we tend to practice? Okay, like our good manners online, if you would. Think about that and how you would like to convey those to your students to make sure they're learning those skills as well. What does your setup look like? Are you sitting in front of a window, which is causing a shadow on your face? Is the TV on in the background, which is a distraction? Just kind of think of these things. These are things to share with your students as well. How is your sound? Do we need to use headphones? As far as feedback goes, make sure that you're not, catching somebody else talking on your mic and causing that to happen for everyone. And we do have some helpful resources, and you can click on any of these to check out what you can do to start setting expectations and norms for your students. Underneath, this is a graphic created by a wonderful friend and excellent supporter of all things instructional technology. You can follow her at Texas Tech Chick on Twitter, and she was kind enough to allow us to use her graphic. Involving parents. They are an important part of the learning process, especially right now. So how are you regularly communicating with them about your online virtual meetings? Is there a way you tell them we meet every Wednesday at 2? I'll share the link at 1:55. Or how do you get that information to them so they can support their student? How can you share online meeting information safely and securely? We discussed this a bit in yesterday's video. Consider changing the join code every meeting. It's a new link, it's a new code, so that nobody's holding on to an old meeting link or code. Have that password protection. Have a waiting room up and running if possible. How are you following up with students and parents after a virtual learning session? It may not always be the best idea to record an online session. Think about how could you share what happened in that live session with parents and students, perhaps those who couldn't make the session or those who want to reference things that were discussed in the session. So think about that. We have some helpful resources for parents in terms of digital citizenship if they are curious about online behavior. And our little blue dot here will link you straight out to commonsense.org to help parents and teachers work on those communication pieces for their students. Setting norms and expectations is important always and forever in education. So things to think about: what are your regular norms in class? How are they going to shift now that you're not in a classroom but rather in a virtual learning environment? What about procedures during an online meeting, or even how do students get information and return work and contact you outside of an online meeting? How do you want students to participate when you're doing your virtual learning session? Do they use the raise hand button? Do you allow them to type questions in the chat box? Do you have an entirely different back channel where they can put questions that you'll look at later? What is a reasonable number of learning objectives per session? I understand that we still want them to learn. We still want them to understand a lot about our content. What is reasonable? What can we expect them to learn during this virtual session? And then how will you provide your students norms and procedures prior to the meeting? How are you going to share with them your expectations? Are these things you ask for their help in creating? How do you share them with the parents so the parents understand the expectations? And then of course we have resources here. Underneath, when you click the blue dot, it's going to take you to a web page where it talks about this concept of OREO: objectives, responsibility, expectations, organization. And if you scroll down, it shows you pretty much what teachers can do, students can do, and guardians can do. So those are our middle dots. Thank you for checking out Bits and Bytes today, and we will see you tomorrow to finish out the rest of our resource.